In this episode, we talk about banana chips, MCT oil and whether it helps you lose fat, and how much weight can a woman lift without getting too big. Hello everybody, welcome to Equals and Alternatives, episode 78. I'm your host, Mike Vacanti, and today we are reviewing Trader Joe's dried banana chips. I'm in what appears to be a prison cell, which is actually the stairwell of VaynerMedia. I was not going to do an episode today, but then my man Owen was like, dude, you have to do an episode. I was like, you're right. All of the rooms on all 3 floors of VaynerMedia were booked up, so I have my lovely camera woman, Emily, who actually filmed the episode. When was that? We went to Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
It was cold out. And they almost kicked us out for filming, but they didn't, because Emily threw down. We're reviewing banana chips, which are equal to an absurd amount of Rolos. Almost this whole pack, like 90% of this pack, which is 6 rolls. But I didn't want to buy the single serving rolls. I couldn't find them anywhere, so here's what we're talking about today. There's actually a few interesting things about this comparison. No, they're not exactly equal, fruit and candy. Like, there is more sugar in the Rolos than in the bananas. However, like that being said, the nutrition for 1 serving of this is 19 grams of carbs and 3 grams of sugar, which is physiologically impossible. I looked at other brands of banana chips and the sugar takes up about 60% of the total carbs. And when you think about this logically, what we have in here are bananas, and then the only other carb ingredient is sugar. And if bananas are half the carbs come from sugar, and we're adding sugar, there's just no way there can only be 3 grams of sugar here. So I assume what they are referring to with that 3 grams is the additional sugar, which would put total sugar, you staying with me, at like 12 or 13 grams of sugar per 19 grams of carbs. So they're both fairly high in sugar. What's really crazy is this, which cost $1, Trader Joe's, great prices, has 1,300 calories. Like, this is not a lot of food. This is something we could just wolf down. Something many of you are probably thinking, why is there so much dietary fat? Like when I eat dried fruit, I assume I'm just getting carbs. I know I'm getting sugar, but why is there fat in there? And 72 grams of fat in this small container. Like, this is just so silly. Please don't ever eat these again. Anyway. So they're adding oil, and they're adding coconut oil, which, if we're going to go back to like actually comparing these Rolos with this, coconut oil is a multi-chain triglyceride, which, like, without getting super nerdy, Emily's eyes are just, what? The human body digests a little bit faster. There is a small amount of evidence that says that, all else equal, having a multi-chain triglyceride, if I could talk, which you can find in not many sources actually, palm oil, coconut oil, like if you buy the MCT oil that people put in their bulletproof coffee, those are forms of MCT oil. Digests a little bit faster and has some small marginal benefit with fat loss. Now, that being said, like I always say, there are 100 other things more important than this small, minute detail. So for the people who add MCT oil or coconut oil into their coffee or cook with it, when, like, it's okay to sub out for a different kind of oil, but if you're just adding MCT oil and adding fat to your intake for the day and adding total calories, it's hugely negative as far as its impact on fat loss, okay? What else is, like, I still don't believe this is 1,300 calories. It's so insane. Our alternative is a banana. Like, the real upside here in a banana has, like, bananas have 25 grams of carbs, 20 grams of carbs or whatever, depending on the size, 30 grams of carbs in a larger one, which is 100 to 120 calories. But the volume, so the volume of food here is probably equal to 1 or 2 bananas. Like, the amount of food and how much room that's going to take up in your stomach is probably equal to 1 or 2 bananas, which would be 200 or 240 calories and keep you that full versus 1,300 calories. So if you want, and obviously there's no dietary fat, or like extremely little dietary fat in bananas if you're trying to keep fat low. So it's a pretty easy alternative. Emily mentioned like, yeah, I didn't even know regular bananas had so many carbs until I had her counting her macros, and she just started learning. Like that's how this stuff works. Question of the day was, I'm trying to remember it now. Emily asked, I didn't take this from any emails. I haven't been getting that many emails with questions of the day or like any comments with questions of the day, guys. So if you want me to answer your question of the day, shoot me an email, like leave a comment under it on YouTube or wherever. But Emily asked specifically about building muscle and fitness for women. And there was an article about this trend in moving from female bodybuilding to female strength training or powerlifting, and moving away from like obsession about aesthetics and being super lean into just trying to get stronger, and how a lot of girls have felt more empowered, felt better about that, like not had a lot of the negative shaming associated with a sport that judges you 100% based on how your body looks. And it made her think about the comparison between like this higher level fitness stuff and magazine fitness, which is pink dumbbell, you can only lift 3 pounds. If you lift 5 pounds, you're gonna turn into a monster, blah, blah, blah. Stupid, shitty advice. And she asked Mike, if you could draw a line in the sand somewhere between those two, where would it be? Like, is X weight a weight that I can use and like not gain muscle? Like clearly it's not 3 pounds, but like a lot of these women have more muscle than I would prefer to have. There isn't an exact line in the sand. However, you have to try really, really hard to gain muscle. Like anyone, you have to intentionally eat in a calorie surplus, you have to get adequate protein, you have to hydrate, you have to rest and recover, like you have to spend a lot of time doing it, both days a week, time in the gym, reps, sets, years to add mass. And even guys doing this can't build an appreciable amount of muscle or the amount that they're satisfied with. So to think that a woman who isn't intentionally eating in a surplus and probably not training to add mass is going to like overnight get too big just isn't right. So my answer is do whatever you want to do, push yourself in the gym, try to gain strength, and like if you start to be like, oh, I'm getting too big, back off of what you're doing. I highly doubt that's going to happen. It actually, where you see it a lot, and this is no knock on CrossFit, even though like lately I kind of hate CrossFit. I was up north for vacation, which is why I had this nice tan, and I had to get like a single workout in, and there was a Bemidji CrossFit, and I called and I was like, hey, I'm in town, like my grandparents live up here, can I get a day pass? And they're like, sure, absolutely, are you a CrossFitter? And I was like, no, I'm not a CrossFitter. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, we only have day passes for other CrossFitters. I was like, fuck you, lady. Like, I didn't actually say it, but I was pissed. Like, what, you're shocked at the F-bomb? You're a Jersey girl. Come on.
Shocked that you were so mad at her.
I was so mad. And then I went to Snap Fitness for $4, and they had a weighted dip belt, and I got my like weighted chins in, and it was amazing. A lot of women who are super into CrossFit, and this is obviously no knock on them, but after years of doing it, develop broad shoulders and like real trap muscles, and that's because they are doing a lot of volume with heavy weight over a period of time. So like, yes, you can build muscle, but it takes time and it takes intentional training like that. All right. I'm glad we're getting this episode in. 78's in the books, guys. Remember, your body is still counting macros, even if you're not.